fire in a way we were very concerned that it was going to.
Officials say improved weather conditions helped firefighters gain ground, but some neighborhoods remain off limits as crews assess damage. Questions are growing in Jackson, Mississippi after the body of Black 29-year-old Tasia Fortune was found hanging from a tree behind a vacant home. City Councilman Kenneth Stokes is calling for federal involvement as authorities continue investigating the circumstances surrounding her death. And thousands of Howard University students have been moving into campus housing ahead of the new school year. University leaders welcomed incoming students, including hundreds who were recently reinstated after being temporarily de-enrolled over missing payment deadlines. Get BIN News now, on demand, 24/7, on the iHeartRadio app.
Watch us on Facebook Live. Then hear us on WBOK1230.com.
Late nights in New Orleans. Some voices entertain the city. Some voices changing. You already know who on the air tonight. Gerod. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. French Quarter nights with the rain coming down. Whole city talk, but the truth stay underground. Funny how the silence break whenever he speak. Certain conversations never make the TV. Voice through the speakers got the whole city tuned. Higher ups nervous every time he hit the room. Cause he say what the people been feeling for years. Bringing light to the stories they don't want us to hear. From the uptown lights to the night war pain. Every word hit different when it cut through the rain. Everybody know the truth, you never said aloud. Till Gerard hit the airwaves and it shook the whole town. And the streets keep calling through the static in the night. Every word feel different when Gerard go live. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. Streetcars roll while the city stay awake. Everybody got a story, everybody got a way. Funny how the phones go quiet when he name names. Funny how the pressure rise when he shift the conversation. He talks schools, streets, money disappearing. Backdoor deals that the public ain't hearing. Things get buried when the cameras don't roll, but the people tune in cause Gerard let it unfold. From the jazz in the streets to the smoke in the sky. The wall is still fighting, still holding it high. And the city feels seen every time that he speak. Cause the truth hit harder when it finally run deep. Now the whole town riding with the station on loud. Hands high while they sing every word through the crowd. Can you feel the city breathing? Every late night conversation. Through the speakers, through the rain. Ooh, New Orleans, don't sound the same. Gerard on the radio. Whole city vibing slow. Late night lights in New Orleans glow. Everybody listen close. Gerard on the radio. Truth in the speakers for sure. From the bayou streets to the corner store. Whole city locked in. Yeah. You're now rocking with Gerard, the voice they couldn't silence. New Orleans, stand up.
Whoa, now. What's going on, good people? Welcome to the reality check. Like I said that?
Yes, I did like
the
that.
reality check.
Good afternoon, and welcome.
I thought you were going to do it too.
No, I was not going to do it too. I figured one of us doing that is sufficient.
But you could have handled that. The reality check.
I'm sure I could have, but you had already done so I did not feel a need to join in.
I felt the need for speed, you know? The reality check. Say it with me. The reality check. Okay, then. All right.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Reality Check.
There we go.
With
See?
Gerard Stevens
See?
and attorney Suzette Bagnaris.
Who that?
We're on WBOK 1230 AM and 107.1 FM. And the talk line number is 504-582-9422.
There you go. And that's all it is. Thank y'all for coming. So, a lot of conversation today. We got guests, so I need to act a little bit like I got a little sense. Mr. Frank Janusa is going to join us in just a few minutes to give us some insight. I want to use his expertise because one of the things that I'm tired of hearing, or maybe I just don't believe it, so maybe he can bring some light to the situation, is the fact that we keep hearing that the city's broke. New Orleans is broke. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that there is some funds, but we're to believe that the city is doing worse than what it really is.
Well, today on the Reality Check, we're going to do something that I think every taxpayer in New Orleans should be demanding right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to follow the money. The city of New Orleans is confronting serious budget challenges, questions about revenue, spending, cash flow, collections, and whether city government is operating on a financially stable, sustainable foundation. And when we talk about a city budget, we're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right.
We're talking about police protection, fire protection, streets, drainage, sanitation, public employees who are now on furlough, public safety, and the basic services citizens expect their government to provide. So today, Gerard suggested we bring in someone to this conversation who really understands numbers. Frank Janusa, a longtime certified public accountant and a former candidate for mayor of the city of New Orleans, is going to join us. And Frank has spent more than 5 decades working in accounting, finance, business, and investment matters. During his mayoral campaign, he made the city's financial condition one of the central issues of his platform. His message was straightforward. And this ought to ring true to you guys because it's almost as if he had a crystal ball. He said, before City Hall asks taxpayers for more money, we need to understand what we are collecting, what we are spending, what we are wasting, and whether the numbers are actually adding up.
It's apparent to me that he has a crystal ball.
It is. It almost is. When I went back and looked at his platform to get prepared for today, many of the things he talked about, we are experiencing today.
Right now.
So today, as we put politics aside, we're asking Frank to look at New Orleans the way a CPA would look at a troubled business. What does the city's financial condition really tell us? Is New Orleans facing a spending problem, a revenue problem, a collection problem, a cash flow problem, or some combination of all 4 situations?
Yep.
Are we collecting all of the money that is already owed to the city? Where can government legitimately cut without destroying essential services and hurting its employees and citizens? And perhaps most importantly, Gerard, before taxpayers in New Orleans are asked to pay another $1, has the city government done everything it can to properly manage the dollars it already receives?
But it's apparent. I mean, that's apparent to me is that the answer is no. Yeah.
Oh, that's apparent to me too. So I guess Frank is going to be able to walk us through, and he's going to be able to tell us if he was handling the city's books today. And we said to him as the city's CPA, Frank, tell us what's wrong. I'd like to know where he would start.
That's going to be interesting. And I would suggest to everybody that's listening that they too should call in and start asking questions. The man is not new to this. He knows how to crunch those numbers. He's a certified CPA. That platform that he put together, I can also tell you that some of the other folks that were running with him, Oliver Thomas,
Absolutely. Respected.
respected and came out and
Exactly.
said, hey, if I won, one of the first people that I wanted to go get to be a part of this administration would be Frank Janusa.
He's got 52 years of financial investment experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And he's no stranger here, too. This is the second
no
time.
stranger here. And
Yep.
the fact that he's willing to come talk to us, too, says a lot about the fact that he's not hiding from questions. He's willing to answer them. So we really do appreciate him being here. And I think the timing of having him here is excellent.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we're going to find out something that we probably didn't expect. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
I know I'm going to learn a lot. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
So he's here already. He is here already getting prepared. He's going to join us after the first break. And I'm suggesting to everyone, y'all need to call somebody and let them know that this program is on the air and they need to be listening.
And let me just give you the backdrop. The city council says the 2026 general fund budget is approximately $799.75 million. Earlier this year, officials reported that the city had reduced the 2026 budget by $73 million compared with the 2025 spending levels, and obtains a $125 million revenue anticipation note to maintain payroll and liquidity. But more recently, the Moreno administration launched a public budget dashboard while confronting what it says is a $110 million shortfall. Gerod isn't believing that we're in a $110 million shortfall.
Mm-mm.
I tend to believe that we are, because I think they've fumbled the bag. But I can't wait to hear what Mr. Janusa has to say, because he was warning about New Orleans' finances before the present administration inherited the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He
So
sounded the alarm.
So my whole point is we're in $100 million shortfall, right? But your budget is over $700 million and had gotten up to $1 billion from last June. How do we have this shortfall? And if we have hired all these folks with the latest salaries being over $200,000 and we're doing furloughs, how much money are we retaining? Are we getting back from the amount that we're spending? Are we spending more than we're earning? And where's it going? Because it sounds like to me that the general fund is becoming a black hole. It's just being put money in there, money in there, money in there. And my question is, unless you have that money earmarked for certain issues, they can spend that money however they want to. So what's happening with all the money that may be earmarked for certain issues? Those issues could include functions for capital projects, Lincoln Beach. Where's the money for all these different inventions of Canal Street that we're getting ready to do? Where's that money coming from? My issue about money when we're starting to talk about city budget is the fact that you shouldn't be spending a whole bunch of it if there is no way to replace it. And if nobody's asking that question, what are we doing?
Well, one of the issues that Mr. Janusa talked about in his 2025 campaign was he was very concerned about sales tax collections. In an October 2025 interview, Janusa pointed to roughly $260 million in reported 2023 sales tax collections and argued there was a potentially large gap between what New Orleans should have been collecting and what it was actually collecting.
Mm-hmm.
And he characterized the difference as roughly $220 million in potentially uncollected sales taxes. That is a lot.
Yeah. If we had that, we wouldn't be in a shortfall.
We wouldn't be in this mess.
We'd be in a surplus.
So, I think that claim is something I can't wait to hear him say, explain why we're dropping the ball in collecting these sales taxes. Because if we had that, like you said, we wouldn't be in this jam.
We would not be in a jam. I tell you what we'll do. We'll go into the break here, get into the break, and what we'll do is bring Mr. Janusa, get him comfortable, and let's see what he's got to say about this, and let you all have a conversation with him as well at 504-582-9422. Get your people on the phone and let them know this is something that really needs to be heard by all. So we're going to ask the questions, and if we don't ask the questions, you are more than welcome to do so yourself at 504-582-9422. More coming up.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
When it comes to family planning, should you go with a will or a trust?
A will is like leaving instructions to the court. It tells them who gets what, but your family still has to go through a succession, which can be costly and time-consuming.
A trust, on the other hand, avoids court altogether. So when the time comes, everything transfers smoothly to your loved ones.
It's a little more work up front, but way less hassle and expense later. Plan smart, save time, and take care of your family.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
For 5 years, one event has brought our community together around one goal: better health. I'm Judy Morse. Join the Urban League of Louisiana and presenting sponsor Oxner Health on Saturday, August 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the 5th annual Big Health event at the Ernest M. Morial Convention Center. Enjoy free health screenings, free admission, free parking, and activities for the whole family. The Big Health event. One day, one place, all health.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is, what's today, Tuesday?
Today is
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. You got to think
All
about
day.
it. Joining us now in the building, having some conversation. He's back. This is not his first rodeo with us. Mr. Frank Janusa, who is a friend of this show, this radio station, former candidate for mayor, certified CPA. Should I throw father, grandfather? And all?
Father, grandfather of 3, grandfather of 6.
Yes, indeed.
Married 53 and a half years.
53?
Yes, sir. 54 in December.
I'm trying to get to 1.
Let us know if you can hear Mr. Frank Janusa well. We want to make sure you get to hear everything.
Got to get closer. Sorry.
No, we appreciate it. We just want to make sure that every word you say is clearly heard.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
So, Frank, you have spent more than 50 years as a CPA. What I'm trying to understand is, are we dealing with a revenue problem, a spending problem, a cash flow problem, or is it a combination of all three?
We are experiencing problems in all of those areas. Problems with revenue collection and revenue generation, the inability to monetize assets. We have bloated expenditures still, even with the furloughs, even with the reduction in force at City Hall. We still have almost 4,900 full-time employees at City Hall.
So we're not looking at trying to reduce our workforce. We're just saying let's furlough you, and we'll collect it from non days not coming to work.
Exactly.
Days that you're off.
Exactly.
Are you familiar with any type of study that's been conducted that would tell us or inform us how we can better staff City Hall? What would be a more efficient use? How many employees we would really need on a full-time basis to operate New Orleans city government?
I don't know of any particular study. And frankly, as they would say on TV, that's above my pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is, having watched and listened intently over the years on Cox Cable 06, the government channel, I've got hundreds of hours of city council meetings that are in my DVR. And that was one of the reasons that gave me the impetus to run for mayor last year.
Mm-hmm.
Although probably in the back of my mind, I wanted to do it since I was probably 30 years old, because I'm a son of the city, born here, raised here, and
That was only 5
still
years
here.
ago. 5 years ago. So yeah.
I'll be 75 in September.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
But studying the city's financial statements, which generally run about 200 pages a year, and believe me, if you're a CPA, you just eat, sleep, and breathe financial statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, income statements. I mean, that's your bread and butter. Because as a CPA, and like you said, I've been one since Groundhog Day 1973. That's how I can remember, 2273. It is incumbent upon us to be educated in what we're looking at. You don't just look at something and say, oh, look, these are a bunch of numbers, how nice they all match, we can reconcile. It doesn't help if you can't analyze where the numbers are coming from, where the revenue is coming from, what are you spending money on, what is your bonded indebtedness. Is your bonded indebtedness, does it have an interest rate that could be reduced by refinancing?
Mm-hmm.
These are certain items. The asset base of the city needs to be looked at in depth. Just the other day, I believe it was August 5th, the city council had a budget meeting, audit budget review meeting. And CFO Joe Geruso was there, a fine gentleman. Alyssa Rambo, the chief financial officer, and they had a host of people at their desk, basically giving the overview of where the city is right now. And in one of the references that was made, the city's available quick cash was down to less than $3 or $4 million in the last several months. Now, of course, one of the problems with the city, as far as its ability to collect funds, the city collects funds from really two major sources.
Taxes?
Well, generally, it's all taxes.
Property
but
tax.
Real estate and personal property taxes and sales taxes. One of the things that I harped on last year when I ran for mayor was the fact that almost every year, the city sends the real estate bills out later and later and later. They had to defer the due date from the end of January to the end of February, I think to the end of March 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
And as a consequence...
You brought this up when you were running.
Yeah. Several years ago, the United States Congress passed a new tax bill, which was signed into law. And what's interesting about that is that a lot of people who were used to, quote, itemizing their deductions, their charitable contributions, their medical expenses, their real estate taxes, and their Louisiana income taxes, realized that, oh my, I paid my real estate tax, I'm going back to 2025. I paid my real estate tax in February of 2025, and it was, I don't know, $4,000. And here it is in December of 2025. Boy, I would love to get that bill right now so I could pay 2 taxes in 2025, because now my ability to deduct real estate taxes and income taxes has been expanded from $10,000 to $40,000. This helps a lot of people. It certainly helps businesses. And that has never actually taken place. And, I've had conversations with people in the assessor's office. Well, we open the rolls up August 1st through August 15th, roughly. And you can come down and you can, look at your assessment. You can see it online, too, if you have access. And then they go through the motions of approving the rolls. And by the time they approve the rolls and generate some outsourced computer program to send you a tax bill, it's New Year's Day. And I'm still convinced that if they do this properly, they should be able to have those real estate bills out by the middle of October. It shouldn't take more than 60 days to run that.
How can you properly forecast your budget for the upcoming year if you don't know how much money you're going to collect from these late bills you're sending out?
Well, that's the whole problem.
And then you got to go to the assessor's office and try to get the adjustments that you need.
Yes. And apparently the only thing they've done with the assessor's office lately is tell them, hey, Mr. Assessor, you need to send the city the $2 million you've got in your checking account that you're not using.
Oh.
Oops. Oh, yeah.
And it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
When do you think the city should send out its property tax and sales tax bills in order to be able to accurately forecast the budget for the upcoming year?
Well, they forecast the real estate and personal property tax bills based on the assessment that comes from the assessor's office. And that's done basically right after the August 15th closing of their rolls. At that point, you know what the total assessment is for personal residences, which are assessed at 10% of, quote, market value, and business assets, commercial buildings, which are assessed at 15%. They pay a higher rate, 50% higher rate. That's really known by September 1st. And you can actually look at a diagram or a graph of the city's total assessed property, and I think it's something like $4.5 billion. And multiply that by the appropriate rate, and that's how they arrive at a guesstimate of what the property taxes should be. Sales taxes are another issue totally, because sales taxes are paid by businesses on a monthly basis. And that, of course, is a function of the economy. It's a function of our tourism industry. It's a function of how many cruise ships come in. And doggone, it's just a function of math.
But we haven't had really a conversation, I would say this year, maybe last year, but this year, have we really heard any type of assessment to say, oh boy, we got a lull of tourism going on here, or we have a lull in the number of businesses that are opening and closing? You're starting to hear those businesses closing.
Yeah, mostly restaurants.
French Quarter.
Yeah,
because of the sewage and water board issue, or some would say that there were other issues, but those are the only ones that I really heard. So were we in some type of dire straits here with businesses closing?
Well, we're not in dire straits. Every city that is dependent on either one or two particular industries is going to have the ebb and flow of business. And sadly, for the last 50 years, our city has depended so much on the tourism industry that it's basically blocked out the ability for other businesses to come in, either because of space limitations, labor limitations, or sadly, the circumstances of our school system, which has always been a problem.
Right.
Mr. Janusa, did I hear you?
Oh, please call me Frank.
Frank, did I hear you?
Because I'm frank with everybody.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate that in a person. Did I hear you accurately say that we have $4.5 billion in assessed property taxes?
Assessed value.
Assessed value.
Which gets multiplied by the millage rate.
Okay, so what is our problem in terms of recovering the property taxes in this city?
In the city's financial statements, in this 186-page statement that they just issued effective June 30th, which thankfully was about 75 days earlier than it was last year when they had to get an extension to September 15th or September 30th. They actually produced it about a month and a half or two earlier. And it always amazes me that the CPAs that do the audit of the finances of the city have access to all of the departments in the city, but it still takes them 5.5 months to pull out worksheets and spreadsheets and God knows what else to reconcile information and handle it in a business-like way so that the audit, which is a work product of professionals, they can actually get it done timely. The audit should be finished by the end of March. Seriously. I mean, I've worked on audits in the first 2 or 3 or 4 years of my professional career in the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had a tight schedule to fill, which is why I went into the tax department because we have extensions there.
But if you don't have that being done, shouldn't there be someone to say, hey, I need this done by?
Well, that's a function of the new administration. And based on what I do see and what I hear on the publicized city council meetings and the subcommittee and the committee meetings, besides just the city council, they are working on it because they have basically a whole new team there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm encouraged. I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm encouraged by what they're doing.
Does that say a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying you're encouraged,
yeah,
you see something different.
Yes.
Okay.
I see hope. Someone asked Mr. Geruso on the August 5th meeting, is the city and its finances in peril? And he hesitated slightly. And he said, no, we're not in peril, but we have to be very, very careful about what we do. And from my understandings of what took place at that meeting and having watched it several times, and once again at 4:30 this morning, just to make sure I was listening to what I was seeing and seeing what I was listening to and taking some notes, the city is going to run a deficit in 2026 of at least $110 million. And the question is, how are they going to fix that deficit? How are they going to close that gap?
What would you recommend?
Well, it's not a question of what I recommend. It's what they've already considered. And what they've considered is that they want to take a look at the Sewage and Water Board,
mm-hmm.
which, as of last week, owed them $20 million. And they actually dropped a $4,400,000 check on them at the end of last week, if my date is correct. So they still are owed $16 million by the Sewage and Water Board.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been, and this is almost a quote, we have been in discussions with them since November 2025.
Right.
Sewage and Water Board has the money for it because their cash flow is immense.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do they have the money in order to pay what they owe to the city?
But the state is holding that up. State is holding it up.
I'm not sure who's holding it up.
Mm-hmm.
This was a conversation that they had with the management of Sewage and Water Board. So they're trying to close this $110 million gap. That'll give them 20 of it. They're also trying to recover some federal grant money that hasn't been collected yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that may take 2 weeks to collect. It may take 2 months. But hopefully it'll take place in 2026.
Does the city have a team of grant managers?
I do not know. I don't know. They're also looking to collect $5 million from the ARPA funds, the American Recovery Act,
right?
The post
right.
the COVID relief, and they also want to play around with some bonded debt of maybe $35 million. But that still leaves a gap of $25 million to fill.
So let's go here.
And the only place you can get that from is the rainy day fund.
But you brought something up too that I want to ask you about when you start talking about bonded money.
Yeah.
The mayor feels that we can't get that $110 million or $120 million from the state or going to the state, which is actually not the state, to get this money.
You've got to go to the bond commission.
The
to
bond
get their
commission
approval for the city to.
How political are we talking?
I don't have any specific information about
Because it sounds
about
like
the
to me
politics of
that
it.
before, well, when we were supposed to go to this meeting, the mayor pulled out of the meeting because she got word through some of her sources that we weren't going to be able to get the money. So to me, all I heard was politics. I didn't hear the need for the city. I just heard politics.
And that's the same story that I heard too, frankly. And of course, the corollary to all of this is the fact that there has been, for want of a better word, bad blood between
The mayor
Jeff
and the
Landry,
governor.
AG
Liz Merrill.
Morrell, and the city administration because of the
Indictment.
because of the AG's letter of instruction to the city to follow the law, and they took it a step further and said, well, let's just indict the attorney general and send her to prison for 80 years and cause her $500,000 in potential fines. And I think, that was a little too much for Murrell and also for Jeff Landry. And I think that put the quietus on it right there. And that's why they're back into this. Well, how can we find the money to make this gap?
But aren't we running
filled?
on time here?
Well, yeah, because the
Did you say, well, yeah.
they've got to present a budget at some point in time for 2027.
If the city has to take another $25 million from its rainy day fund just to finish 2026, what does that tell you as a CPA? Is that what the rainy day fund is supposed to be used for? Or are we using reserves to cover a structural operating deficit?
Sadly, we're using the rainy day fund to cover an operating deficit. We're supposed to use the rainy day fund for catastrophes.
Right.
Real rainy days. Like when it floods the whole city, you've got a bad hurricane, power's out, water's out,
And
Cox
that-
Cable is
and
out.
that money is also used by any chance we have to use something or go to the federal government and use FEMA money.
Right.
FEMA money comes very slowly to the city.
Yes.
And it's not just giving it to you, it's actually replenishing what you spent.
And possibly that's what some of this $25 million of federal grant money is. It could have some FEMA money in that we're still waiting to collect.
Using reserves to survive a genuine one-time emergency can be a perfectly legitimate situation, like a hurricane.
Right.
But using reserves to repeatedly pay ordinary recurring expenses points to a much bigger warning sign, because the reserve only works once. So if expenditures remain higher than recurring revenues next year, the city would begin 2027 with the same problem, but with a $25 million less cushion, correct?
That is correct. And as a matter of fact, the information that I gleaned from that TV show, the Budget and Audit Committee meeting, the projected 2027 deficit is $125 million.
My goodness. So we're already in the
Really?
hole. So,
Yeah.
so we are trying to solve a deficit by financing it
into the future.
So we're going to be a city that's operating on a deficit.
Yes.
So that means that this is going to be detrimental to city employees. But here's the reason why I'm making these I'm making, I guess, noise and saying we're not broke. I just don't think that we're broke. I think that we need to sit down at that city budget and start, acting like big girls and big boys here and start saying, hey, do we really need to throw this type of money at this program, at this, and try to find this money and stop trying to give the trash man an 80% raise to go clean up 13 blocks?
I have a question along those same lines, though, Gerard. That's a very good question. So you said we are also dealing with a spending problem. The city adopted a roughly $1.8 billion all funds budget for 2025 and then entered a 2026 confronting a massive fiscal imbalance. So what changed? Where did the money go?
Well, when you look at the combined budget, you're looking at the operating budget, which I think they call the general fund, and the capital budget. I don't pay too much particular attention to the capital budget because that is involved in the creation of fixed assets, which are generally funded by indebtedness into the future. It's sort of the same way as trying to make a comparison between, I earn X dollars a year and I spend Y dollars and I come out at zero. I can't save anything, but I still have a mortgage to pay, and that's all part of my expenses. But here, in the city's budgeting mechanism, they, at least this estimate for 2027, they anticipate that revenues from all sources, the general fund revenues, will drop from 2026's estimated amount of $824 million to only $725 million. There may be a $100 million drop.
I was going to say that's over $100 million.
Yeah, it's like, it's over 10%. But they do expect expenses to be cut from $954 million to $850 million, $100 million drop in expenses.
So was the revenue overestimated?
I don't know the source of how they arrived at these figures for 2027. I can only look at what they're thinking of for 2026 and how they are trying to handle the deficit, trying to get this $110 million under control.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically going to fill that gap with, some revenue items, but also some capital items.
But
and that's where I think they get into trouble because we've already got, as of the end of 2025, $775 million of bonded indebtedness, for which we are paying over $36 or $37 million a year in interest.
Do you go back and refinance that, though?
Well, some of that stuff's at over 5%.
What's the danger? I'm trying to understand it. You go back to what you just said. You were explaining it. Explain it in layman terms for me, and explain to me why this is dangerous, why this practice is dangerous.
The practice is dangerous because you are pushing into the future items that should have been provided for on a current basis.
Mm-hmm. And that is, when you say pushing into the future, a lot of those indebtedness that you're talking about, we're not talking about something for 1 year. We're talking about 20 and 30 years.
Exactly. And in some of the future years, we're going to have interest expenses, 35, 36 million a year, 40 million a year. Plus we have to start paying this principal back.
Right.
And some of that's, at 10, 15 million dollars a year, and it goes up to something like 25, 30 million dollars.
So what about this casino deal?
Yeah.
Is that a good deal? Because we're losing out what? How
many? $836 million over a 40-year period.
I look at it this way.
They say they can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
They were entitled to ground lease rentals from Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence, they decided to sell the next 9 or 10 years worth, and they collected roughly $106 million up front,
right,
which they deposited into an interest-bearing account earning 3.5%. And that's on the financial statements that were issued. That is a good move, provided they stick those monies inside the rainy day fund and keep it there.
And don't touch them.
And don't touch it.
What's the penalty on that if you do?
Well, it's, if you buy $1,000 CD, for 9 months and, next Wednesday afternoon, you say, oh my God, I need dentures.
You're going to get a penalty.
Yeah,
you're going to get a penalty.
Well, I don't know the exact type of account they have it in, but I know that it's earning interest at 3.5%.
Mm-hmm.
What is interesting, though, talking about the rainy day fund, the chief financial officer, Alyssa Rembo, mentioned that they had gone back, they were reconciling accounts and trying to bring checking accounts consolidated, and they were reconciling this and reconciling that, and they realized the rainy day fund was stuck at Chase Bank, not earning a dime of interest. Hello?
Oh, wow.
Hello? So now they dumped all of that. According to the meeting, they put it all at Liberty Bank. So Liberty Bank's paying them interest on it.
Well, I mean, so nobody shopped it around before they put it in the bank just to say, well, we're going to put it in this account. It's not going to bear any interest. So how long was it sitting there before we figured out it's still the same number?
According to her, some portions of it was sitting there uninvested for years.
Oh, no.
Now, what is interesting, of course, is that with this sale of the Caesars ground leases and the $106 million, they had that invested at interest. And according to that meeting, they had earned $750,000, in a matter of weeks. Because $106 million, if they invested at 4%, that's $4 million a year. That's $300,000 plus a month.
Right.
So a half month's $150. So poof.
Wow.
At least they're doing that, and that does make sense. I don't think that was a bad move to sell it. But if they would have taken that money and spent it because they had more expenses that they needed to fund and that money just disappeared, then you've lost 10 years of revenue.
Right.
At least they've got it stable and it's secure
to
the extent that it can be secure.
And it's making money.
And it's making money.
Okay. I tell you what, we'll take a break here. Give you a chance to, because we got more questions. We got more questions. We got more questions. And you can get in, too, on the conversation at 504-582-9422. Mr. Frank Janusa is with us, and we welcome him back as he breaks down with the city, money, finances. What else you said? Something else.
Well, the revenue they're taking in,
Yeah.
cash flow problems, all of those things. We're trying to figure it all out. Where is the money going?
Where is the money? More coming up, y'all. Everybody hold tight.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Extended through Labor Day, Louisiana residents get half off general admission to the National World War II Museum. Take advantage of 50% off and beat the summer heat at New Orleans' #1 attraction. Don't wait. Plan your visit at nationalworldwar2museum.org.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan Sr. coming to you over the airways of WBOK, your favorite host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That's Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want you to invite your family and friends to a broadcast that's designed to change your life, the way you think, the way you act, and what you eat. We want you to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. See you on Saturday.
Greetings and salutations. I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom, has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101, The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
When you talk, we listen. WBOK. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
All right, folks, right back at you. We are back here. Our guest today, Mr. Frank Janusa, who's in the building again. We are glad that he has joined us. Thank you, sir. You've been busy because you got your own firm.
Yes.
You're going to run for something else, too? I'm
No.
trying to get the scoop.
No, not going to run.
Not?
I'm not going to run ever again. Bank on that.
No? No?
No.
I don't believe him. You believe him?
No, because he should run for something else.
You should.
Exactly. Look, I just want to say this. We talked off air about something. I asked you why we're not collecting the property taxes from people who aren't paying their property taxes. and you said you heard a very interesting comment as to why we're not filing those liens. What was the answer?
Well, the answer is that in order to process a lien, you've got to file paperwork with the clerk of court. And according to the information that I gathered on the videotape of the meeting, the city has to pay the clerk of court a filing fee.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the amount, I imagine, varies based on the amount of the lien. And the city has not been paying those filing fees, and they're running behind. So instead of having maybe 1,000 suits filed and the filing fee paid, maybe only 200 have been.
But didn't we do this one time before, especially right after Katrina, when we started looking at all the properties that were, I guess, not being looked at, and we saw that they were being going through law firms to adjudicate them.
Yeah.
Then we have to go through that same process?
We might have to.
Well, my understanding is that Louisiana Revised Statute 1345-21 expressly allows a state and any political subdivision of a state, which would include the city of New Orleans, Hano, Sewage and Water Board,
sure,
to temporarily defer paying court costs at the outset of litigation. And then they can recoup their costs at the end of litigation.
Mm.
So if the city does not have to pay upfront to file those liens against property owners who aren't paying their taxes, they should be able to file all those liens. And then when the property owner, yes, fails to pay or pays their taxes, they can then recoup that money. So that's really not a good explanation on the part of the city for why they're not going after deadbeat property taxpayers. They should file all those liens, get the cost deferred, and on the back end, get that money back so we can get that revenue to the city of New Orleans.
I can only attest to what I heard.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because they are listening, that's not a good answer. There is a revised statute that would allow you to defer that to the end. So go ahead and get the liens filed, please, and recoup your money on the back end from the taxpayer.
So let's answer this too, because one of the things that I think that is a money grab for the city is the fact that we have so many closed schools, older buildings, fenced-in buildings. We're paying as a city over $500,000 just to cut the grass.
True.
One of the things too, and I'm going to sound a little religious here, but don't hold that against me, is that the Vatican figured out, even with the archdiocese, hey, we got to get this money to pay some of these lawsuits that we have.
Correct.
So they started looking at their buildings, their churches, their worship centers, and saying, we need to sell these buildings.
Because they were underutilized, and
right.
they needed to monetize that asset.
So we have the same issue. And we have all these closed schools.
And that's why we have the New Orleans Building Corporation, which administers all of those properties.
But they're just sitting there.
They just sit there.
Even when we started looking at, I would say, let's use the Lindy Boggs Center that's supposed to be taken down today, demolition. That building sat there for 25 years.
That's correct.
And we did nothing to utilize it. We did nothing to monetize it. We did nothing for the building. Now we're tearing it down. So how much is that costing us compared to what we could have used it for?
Well, the city didn't own it, though.
Well, of course, but I mean, the man died. I know that owned it. But of course, there was something that could have been done.
It's been through multiple owners. And again, it goes to the attribute that the city has. It's inertia. They just don't expend the effort to get things moving. And that's why we can't attract big business to New Orleans, because they know that the city operates on two speeds, slow and off.
Mm. And pick your day on which one is the most available.
Talking about monetizing assets, one of the things that I talked about ad infinitum last year when I ran was the Wisna Trust.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, there were still
A fight going on?
Still fighting as to who the owners were. LSU, Tulane, Salvation Army, the Wisner heirs, whether the property was separate property of Edward Wisner or was community, and whether the trust law in effect in 1938 was even in effect in 1912, blah, blah, blah. And now it's still going through iterations, and it'll probably go to some appeals court. I don't think the city has 100% ownership of it yet. But under the assumption that it does, it's going to produce, at least based on the records I've seen, producing between $8 and $10 million a year. Now, let's analyze that as it relates to the Caesars lease. If we get $10 million a year out of the Wisner Trust, maybe we could sell that thing for $100 million. Take that $100 million, invest it. It'll produce $3 or $4 million a year in perpetuity, because at some point in time, those 53,500 acres in 3 parishes,
right,
it's going to disappear. It's a wasting asset.
Right.
It's a totally depletable asset.
Right.
So that puts $100 million in perpetuity. The liquidity that could produce, it could be invested in CDs at the city's level, producing $3 or $4 million a year, or it could pay some of this 5 and 5.5% bonded indebtedness early, and that would reduce the amount of interest that the city has to pay and reduce the future principal payments. To me, it's a no-brainer.
But Mr. Janusa, the stuff that you have put together for the last 30 minutes, I'm gonna just say 30 minutes.
Sure.
You have created $100 million.
Yes.
On your microphone.
I can also create another $200 million.
So,
and how can you do that? Tell us how you would do that.
But my question with that is, if I were running the city, why wouldn't I call you in and say, listen, here's the book, here's the financial book. I'm going to pay you well, but I need you to create me $200 million. Is that hard? Can you do it?
I don't know if I could do it.
I think you could.
But
you just created $100 million in 30 minutes. You ever thought about that? I think that's why you ran.
I ran to bring light and transparency.
But that light and transparency was showing waste. But you wanted to bring light and transparency and say, we can do it better.
Absolutely.
What I'm hearing here is what we were talking about yesterday. This is why we need a CPA in the CFO position.
And the ABCs of this whole situation.
This knowledge is not something that the ordinary person has. This is knowledge garnered from studying the budget for decades, watching the city council for decades, and understanding where the money is and how we can generate new funds.
All right, we got to do news real quick here. We'll be right back. Go ahead.
Campus of Xavier University.
Yeah.
WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The mother of 12-year-old Jacob Freitas is calling for a new state law after her son was killed by a stray bullet in the Bronx.
I want to be able to not only be at peace knowing that this man is going to go to jail for the rest of his life without parole, but also be rest assured that everyone else's child, the person who did it, faces the same exact thing.
The proposed Jacobs Law would require a life sentence for anyone convicted of killing a child in New York. A suspect has been charged and has pleaded not guilty. And Alabama is set to carry out its first execution of the year on Thursday. A black man, Jeremy Williams, who pleaded guilty to the sexual assault and murder of a 5-year-old girl in 2021, requested the death penalty and is scheduled to be executed unless a court intervenes. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Our number 504-582-9422 for those that want to ask some questions, because we don't get him often. But when we ask him to come, he does, and he shows up every single time. And I got to say thank you to that. Mr. Frank Janusa, former candidate for mayor of the city of New Orleans, licensed certified CPA as well. I asked you a question off air. I'm going to ask you this question on air because I know they're listening. You too.
Absolutely.
Which I think is very important, and I don't think it's a slap in nobody's face. So I want them to understand we're not being messy. What we are doing is saying, hey, we need help, and it's apparent to me that you have the answers to a lot of these questions. So if the phone rang and it's somebody calling you from City Hall, and they said, we need your help, would you do it?
I would do it.
You would?
But there would be magnificently ordered stipulations on how I would approach it and how my ideas would be turned into real projects and real final concepts. That's for sure. You know, here's a simple thing. And I harped on this last year during the election cycle. Talk about monetizing assets. Our good friend, may rest in peace, Isaac Delgado. Delgado Museum, Museum of Art, the community college. He and his brother, way back in the 1870s, loaned money to the Grevenberg family that ran the Albania plantation right out of Gerod, Louisiana, in St. Mary Parish. 6,500 acres of sugarcane producing land. And sadly, a former slave plantation. And that always irked me. And I talked about that at the Lions Community Center in depth. When he died, he willed that, along with his other assets, to the city of New Orleans. Do you know how much 6,500 acres of sugarcane producing land is worth?
I can imagine.
Minimum $20 million. The last 4 or 5 years, the city collects sharecrop rentals. They engage different farmers to farm the land, cultivate the land, use crop rotation methods, blah, blah, blah. And then they collect typically they collect either a 1/5 share or 1/6 share of the gross sales of sugarcane. That's typical in Louisiana. For the last 5 or 6 years, other than 2025, they collected an average of about $185,000 a year. In 2025, they collected $280,000. Do you know how much cash the Delgado Albania Plantation Commission was sitting on at the end of 2025? I think it's on page 175 of the financial statements. It was sitting on $800,000 of, quote, cash, plus another $200,000 or $300,000 of investments, mutual funds, who knows what. Joe DeRusso is going to approach them and pull that back into the city. They were sitting on over $1.2 million of assets.
And we never touched it.
We've never touched it, to my knowledge. Matter of fact, when you go on the city's website, who's on the Albania Plantation Commission? You see, I think there are 4 or 5 slots. 2 or 3 say vacant. The other one says term expires in 2024. The other term expires June 30th, 2026.
It's a neglected board.
Bingo.
So one of the things, too, that I will say, and you brought this up, too.
Oh, excuse me. The reason I bring this up is twofold. Number one, I don't think the city of New Orleans, which is a majority black city, should have right, title, and ownership, fee simple interest to what was formerly a sugarcane plantation, where some of the ancestors of some of our current residents were enslaved.
Right.
It's an immoral.
The city
concept.
owns a slave plantation.
Bingo. Now, what I think should happen, let's call Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, put a data center there.
Well, I'm looking around and saying to myself, in the city of New Orleans, and you'll probably agree to this, is exactly what we were talking about. And that was we start looking at who's going to be on some of these commissions and some of these boards. We got to stop putting folks that don't have expertise on these boards to operate. I mean, it's just like we said about sewage and water board.
Absolutely.
Stop putting your friends on the board. We need people with expertise.
Right. Your big donors, your friends, these are the people who get appointed, but they're not bringing subject matter expertise to the board.
True.
And that's what's needed to say, hey, this is what we're doing. Here's how we fix our problems. Here's what we're going to do in the future. What's our financial? I like to put Mr. Janusa on the board so that he'll be able to talk and be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing with our finances. These are the different issues that I think we need to be looking at seriously when we're putting folks on boards.
Let's go back for a second, if you will, to the Delgado Albania plantation. I did some research on crop rentals by sugar producers in the state of Louisiana.
And we're just talking about a crop, one crop.
One crop. Sugar cane. And they probably have a crawfish farm in there. You know, they probably have a little pond somewhere. But I looked at it, and the dollar amount that is typically produced per acre should be something on the order of $100+ per acre, which should generate $650,000 of revenue to the city.
So we're not even billing at the rate we should be.
Well, it's not a question of billing.
For.
We don't have the contract. I don't believe we have the contract with the farmers who actually do the farming to get the appropriate percentage of the crop. You know, long time ago, when people used to
holy cow,
do they even know what their assets are? This is blowing my mind. Do they know what their assets are and what their assets are producing? Has anyone done a thorough search of that?
The capital projects manual that gives you all the assets of the city. It's supposed to anyway. I know when I looked at it, I saw all the assets from buildings to land and the use of what is owned by New Orleans.
I found my note. $94 per acre is the average in Louisiana. 6,500 acres should produce $611,000 a year, and they got less than half of that. And the 2025 crop year was a good year, which is why it went up from 190 to 287. But still, you know, that's a 45% jump or so. But to get it to 611, something has to be looked at with regard to those contracts. And, you know, the city council, they have a special, one of their special meetings. They have their, they have the proposition, let's approve the budget for the such and such board, and then, let's approve the budget for the Delgado Albania plantation. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor, aye. Poof. No reference to the background of what the expected revenue is, what the expected expenditures are. I didn't see that.
So we're just approving as a formality a budget without doing a deep dive and analyzing what is the asset worth, what is the asset producing, what are the contracts tied to the asset, how we can monetize this asset. We're not having that discussion.
No.
We're just approving budgets.
No.
So who's running the hen house? What fox? I mean, that's a good question. What fox is running the hen house? Because evidently we don't have a clue on what's going on. So the city, I'm going to go back to my original statement because she disagreed with me. But I told her, I said, the city is not broke.
No.
We're not doing what we're supposed to do to monetize the assets to make the money.
We're not broke. We're not in peril, but we're going the wrong way because we're not using good common sense, good common financial sense. They say best practices.
Best practices. So I have another question.
I hope I have another answer.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. That's why I'm asking all my questions.
I'm sorry we're so laid back today, but we are both shocked.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm shocked by everything you're saying. Can you identify 5 specific expenditures in the budget that you would reduce or eliminate?
Yes. Council District A, B, C, D, and E.
All right. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you for coming. All in favor? Aye.
Uh-huh.
Do we have a second? Yes. One of the things that really concern me is that the city operates on what I think is an old and antiquated pension system. And the captains of industry over the last 50 years have decided company-sponsored or city-sponsored pension plans is not the way to go, because it does 2 things. It creates financial uncertainty for the individual potential pension holder. Uncertainty. Because although they may have a, quote, guaranteed pension, that guaranteed pension is determined by the fair market value of those assets that fund that pension.
Isn't that where we are right now?
Ooh, that's my whole point.
Because we're in a quagmire with this because of the fact that we're not matching what emperors or the state has stated, and they're getting very upset at us because we're sitting back and can't put that type of money into the pension system.
Listen, when you look at the audit report, one of the things that they made a special mention of was the firefighters fund, firefighters pension fund. It has a liability of some $640 million.
Right. That's always been a problem here, though.
Because,
I think it stopped when it was in the I guess in the early 2000s. It was not talk of the conversation. It was not newsworthy after that.
Right. And of course, there were questions about mismanagement, bad investments.
Bad investments was interesting.
Who knows? Fraud could have been anything.
Right.
This may have been the one that owned the golf courses that went on.
Right. That's what it was. Bad investments.
But that's a bullet that's coming down the line at some point in time. Another thing, and they mentioned this at the budget hearing, the accumulated leave doesn't have any caps each year. Certain fire captains are retiring and leaving with accumulated leave pay of $400,000.
Right. Right.
Plus, of course, they have a future pension to rely on. And they want to back up that system and say, accumulated leave, it's only X number of days per year, and you can't carry over Y number of years.
You either use it or lose it.
Exactly. Yeah. Sort of like the old sick day routine.
All right.
Does the city of New Orleans have insurance? Back in the day, the city used to have insurance. And when there were claims filed against the city's insurer could pay those claims. Now we have an unpaid judgment list is where judgments go to die because they don't get paid.
Right.
Does the city of New Orleans have insurance?
What type of insurance?
Do they have any?
Liability.
Oh, they must
Insurance.
have liability insurance. We have insurance expense on the financial statements.
Well, I really don't know. And let me tell you why
They
I
always
want to
say
use
they're
this.
self-insured and they have no
Right.
insurance.
But I want to use this as a example of what was going on at one point in time here when we start talking about stuff that may not look like it's really true. We found at a certain period in time when we started looking at paying off the G&O Bridge.
Right.
Okay? This is when Mitchell Andrew was in office, and we started hearing, oh, we better keep the tolls. We better keep these tolls because you got to pay for the lighting on the bridge. You got to do all this other stuff. And we were like, wait a minute, but that wasn't the deal that was set forth. It said after we paid the bond, that built that second bridge, 20 years, the toll comes off, and everybody was waiting for it. But we started seeing the politicians saying, hey, we need to keep this because it's going to pay for the lights.
Because this is an annuity.
Yeah. So
that's why the causeway still has tolls.
So the part of this that made everybody go, no, that's not the way we need to go. I also started looking at the Jefferson Parish representative for the state, and Pat Connick started saying, let's look into it. Found out that there was an insurance policy that was put on the GNO. Flood. All of us, see, you started laughing immediately. But we all started saying, wait a minute, if there's a flood policy.
That's going to be 200 feet tall.
Right.
We got
if there's a
real
flood
problem.
policy on this bridge and it floods, so does the entire city of New Orleans and probably the whole West Bank of New Orleans.
Yes.
So things like this are things that made me say, you can't trust it. You really got to look into it. And that's why I think that we're starting to ask the question about what's going on with the insurance, liability insurance for the city of New Orleans. Certain assets have insurance. But does the city itself have insurance?
Well, I can only focus on the fact that I know that the city has insurance on certain assets. As whether or not the city has a type of liability insurance or a catastrophe insurance, I just don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those questions that you got to ask and you got to figure out. So as we
going back to the firefighters pension fund, which is so underfunded, the CPAs made a special 1-paragraph notation about you need to get this fixed.
Mm-hmm.
You need to fix this sooner rather than later. And that is a pretty pointed thing, when CPAs, pull a gun out the holster and start, popping bullets on pages. Right. That's what they mean. They mean this is a problem.
The problem
and you
is
need to address it.
How do you then put a cap on accrued leave for people who have been working there for 30 years?
You got to stop it at some point.
You have to,
Yeah. So I know that a lot of businesses will tell you, hey, look, these are the number of days that you have for leave.
Right.
And if you don't use them, you lose them. What's wrong with using that analogy instead of saying, hey, wait a minute, you had all these days that you've had in your 25, 30-year career and you never used them and you want to get paid for them?
That's why you've got to stop it in its tracks and redo the whole program.
Mm.
And at the same time, of course, change the pension system and go to something similar to, a corporate 401k plan.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But we not only have that problem with Emperor. I mean, we had that problem with the Emperors as well.
Yeah, that too.
So NOPD's going through it. And I think, how much money do we owe Emperors? We owe Emperors 40, 50 million?
I don't recall
because of the amount of police officers, which is less than that we really need to make sure that they balance out. And we have less officers that are putting money into the system. So we're actually owing more than what's supposed to be.
So the same classic problem with Social Security. We have fewer people paying in on a year by year basis.
Same issue.
And
didn't they say that Social Security is going to go bust in 2030?
Look, when I was a kid in 1972, got my first professional job at a Big 8 firm.
Mm-hmm.
There were, if I recall correctly, 10 people paying into Social Security for each recipient.
Mm.
Now it's less than 4.
Wow.
Which is why the rate of tax is so high.
If you had to grade the financial health of the city of New Orleans today, A through F, what would you give it and why?
I think I would give it a flat C because it's not in dire straits. It just really needs help. It really needs some measure of responsibility engendered by some groups whereby the people of this city, the universities, the school system, public employees, radio hosts, CPAs, and even attorneys can come in and sit down and say, how can we save this city for our future, for our children and grandchildren, so that one, stop leaving the city, Two, be able to attract new business, new industry, stop relying solely on tourism to a great extent. Solely is probably a little too much, but we need to diversify our economic base. We've just got to do it.
Yeah, I'm looking online. They're saying that Flat C is optimistic. Are you optimistic about it, or do you have other questions?
On balance, I'm optimistic. Okay. What I've seen in the last couple of months or so, and knowing the good character of the players that I see, I'm encouraged. I'm not overwhelmed, but I'm encouraged.
I just think your knowledge is stupendous. That's number one. And what you bring to the table is something, number two, that should be used. Because if I knew all of these different things, like I know radio, then I would want everybody to hear, this is what we can do. You broke down in 30 minutes, Mr. Janusa, how we can make $100 million.
Want to hear the $200 million?
I can't. You got $200 million on?
I talked about this last year. But before I talk about that, let me talk about the number of people who visit this city. Estimates range anywhere from 18 to 22 million people come to this city each year. To me, it's almost unfathomable. It's almost unimaginable. But if you break it down by month, it's 1.5 million people a month.
Right.
What, 50,000 new people every day. That's 2 cruise ships and a bunch of Amtraks and a bunch of planes at the airport. If those 20 million people, if each of them only spent $100 in the city, how much would that generate in revenue?
What is that?
$100 million.
$2 billion?
No, 20 million people, $2 billion.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
Sales tax rate in the city, the gross rate, just for the city's portion, not the state's portion, is 5%. What's 5% of that amount?
5% of $2 billion is what is that? 10 million? Or is that 100 million? Which one? Nobody told me math was going to be involved in this gig.
You have
you see why I'm not. It's 100 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
5% of $2 billion is 100 million.
That's right.
A month.
No, excuse me. 5% of $20 billion.
$20 billion.
$20 billion. It's $1 billion of potential sales tax at the 5% rate.
Oh my God.
We're not collecting.
Gia Russo.
We're not
call him.
We're not collecting that much.
Gia Russo, call him.
Well,
now granted, there are some minor differences between the 5% rate and the lower rate because, medicine might have a 4.25% rate and tobacco might have a 5% rate. And, there are little differences. But, even at a flat 5% rate using these numbers, it's $1 billion of sales tax. Why are we collecting less than half of that gross?
Right.
Now, but that's just $1 billion.
And I think
you want another 200 million?
Oh.
Okay. These same 20 million people that come in by plane, cruise boat, rail, car, whatever. If we could attract 1 out of 10 of those people to purchase a travel app that's used in London and in Paris, 2 places I've never been to and likely won't ever go to. But you go to that place, and for $50, $75, $100, you get a app on your phone. When you go to a fine dining restaurant in Paris, you get 10% off your meal. You go to a sports stadium, 10% off this. You go to the museum, 10% off. So the amount that you pay is multiplied by the savings you get. Because if you're going to be spending, $4,000 on a family vacation, and you're going to wind up with $400 of savings, and it only cost you $50, $60, $100.
Right.
If 1 out of 10 people that come into the city would buy this travel app, which has not been created yet. This was an idea that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you a quick story about it shortly. That would produce $200 million a year of revenue to the city with virtually no cost associated with it. Because who's picking up the cost? The restaurateurs, the bars, the museums, et cetera, and they're still collecting sales tax on it.
Right.
So if you're still hearing me stuck on the billion. So if 5% of $20 million, $20 billion would go to the city annually.
Yeah.
What percentage of that would go to the state?
The exact same amount, because the state has roughly a 5%. It's actually 4.75.
So the state has
it's an
equal
amount.
interest
Almost an equal amount.
in supporting us in that endeavor.
Exactly.
But the state, which we're hearing right now, which I think is a farce, hearing the governor say, you're not important anymore. I know that New Orleans creates over $427 million in tax-based money in just one category every year for the state. And the only other persons or area is, I think, Jefferson Parish that creates maybe $100 million?
And then East Baton Rouge Parish.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
You got some more time?
Sure.
I'm going to ask you some more questions here. Okay. I know I told you 30, 40 minutes, then an hour. So you're still here. So we'll take the break here and come back. More coming up, y'all.
I'm still here.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
In nearly 50 years of covering Louisiana's justice system, I have never witnessed the indictment of a sitting state attorney general by an Orleans Parish grand jury or by a grand jury in any other Louisiana parish. That was big news. Then came even bigger news. All of the charges were dropped by the special prosecutor assigned to oversee the case. Former Judge Lori White, the special prosecutor, says she dropped the indictment against State Attorney General Liz Murrill because New Orleans Mayor Helena Moreno and other city officials urged her to do so to ease tensions between the city and state. The mayor offered a peace sign asking Governor Jeff Landry to meet so they could resolve their differences. Landry said no, not until the city gets things in order. Requesting that the AG charges be dropped was another peace sign. Landry still said no, thank you. Landry and Murrill have no interest in being friends with New Orleans leaders. I understand not wanting to be friends with people who you think want you to be put behind bars for 80 years. The circumstances and the players are different, but what we have here is the latest chapter in a long history of the bruising political wars between the state and the city. It's not good for the city or the state. Who knows how this latest drama will play out? What matters is whether this legal grudge match helps citizens who want leaders who will improve their quality of life. Now, this unfortunate drama is damaging our state, our city, our judiciary, and our chances for more economic development. It boils down to this. It's a cartoon with characters bashing each other, and it's not funny. We deserve better. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
On last week's From the Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware.
You know what the word that comes to my mind when I think about Caleb Williams? The word that comes to my mind? Special. And Caleb Williams has already done some special things. Let's look at 2 games against the division rival Packers. He brought that team back in the playoffs. No way in the world that the Bears should have won that playoff game. I think if he does take his game to the next level this season, then I think you're talking about a Bears team that can make a nice run in the playoffs.
From the press box to press row is one of the hottest sports talk shows in the country. Join Donald each week as he takes you on a journey through the world of HBCU sports and pro sports and interviews with top sports and entertainment figures. That's from the press box to press row each week on your favorite station.
Box to Row, Saturdays at 2 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com. What New Orleans is talking about.
Hey, New Orleans, it's Doc Griggs. Tune in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for Doc Talk and get checked, get fit, get moving.
This is Andronica Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
WBOK is pleased to announce the reboot of Crosstown Conversations with host Gene Nathan. A heightened focus on cultural entertainment events and the creators who present them. The new time is now Saturday at noon. Tune into the stories of our exploding creative scene with Gene Nathan on Crosstown Conversations.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's go to the phones here. We got some phone calls coming in. Donald.
Yeah, I'm looking at those numbers. My question is the city? It sounds like the city is not collecting their taxes.
It sounds like the city is what?
Not collecting taxes.
The city is not collecting their taxes.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Because the numbers just
That's
don't
all
add
I
up.
had to say.
The numbers just don't add up. You know, it's really, it's an exercise in math when you look at the financial statements and you look at outside economic sources. Like I was telling Gerod earlier in the program, and maybe when we were off air, that the number of people who visit the city is almost astronomical. Anywhere between 18 and 21 million people a year. That's, like 50,000 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money that they spend, you just do a quick math on it, even $100 a day per person, it creates an immense amount of sales potentially subject to sales tax.
Right.
And when you apply the sales tax rate to it, it comes to a figure that's almost twice as much as what the city is collecting. So where's that gap? Where's that leakage? Where's that shrinkage?
So what do we need to improve? The folks that are collecting the taxes?
Well, sales taxes are generated by the businesses themselves.
Right.
And IRS agents will tell you that businesses that don't keep the best of records are the worst ones when it comes to violating the tax law, whether it's the income tax law, the sales tax law, or whatever.
You got another call. Miss Lynette?
Hi, yes, I had two things I'd like to add to the conversation. One, that 5% sales tax that's collected by the city only gets 2.5% of that.
That is correct.
1.5% goes to school board and 1% goes to RTA.
It goes to
So
about
you're only
16
looking
different
at-
organizations.
Exactly. So when you're talking about the city's general fund, though, the impact would be half of what you stated. And secondly, I think you were just making the point is that the sales tax is self-reporting.
Correct.
So businesses are collecting the tax on behalf of the city of New Orleans, and they are the ones who are responsible for remitting the tax to the city.
So, Ms. Lynette, are you making a suggestion or making a statement in the sense that not everybody is going to report the right numbers?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify. Thank
Yes.
you.
And of course, the self-reporting goes not only for the Orleans Parish sales tax, but also goes to the state of Louisiana sales tax because
that is correct.
They're both due
That
at the
is
same
absolutely
time.
correct.
Generally.
So when you ask about the gap, some of that absolutely is about the city probably can do a better job at collecting the tax, but I think a part of that gap is on the businesses in the city of New Orleans who are not reporting the sales tax as they should because they're collecting the money.
Mm-hmm.
The money is going to the businesses' bank accounts, and then they are required to remit those taxes to the city on a monthly basis. And that's probably not happening as it should as well.
So
that's all I had to offer to
You
the
are right on
conversation.
the money. Well, that's why they have sales tax audits.
Yes,
And there are
I'm aware.
innumerable ways that you can handle a sales tax audit and actually find that missing revenue, which will generate the extra sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
Well, that is correct. There's a delinquent tax department. There's a sales tax department in revenue. So I'm familiar with it. And so you have to look at then who you have working there, the number of people you have working there, the staff size, and how that goes about. Because that's a process. The audit process is a process. So you don't get that money immediately when you
absolutely.
audit
You're
businesses.
correct.
It has to go through a whole process, audit, settlements, collections, the whole thing. So there's a process that goes along with that. But I agree that some things can be done better. But the whole onus is not just on the city. And that's the point I wanted to make. Thank you.
All right, Miss Lynette. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Miss Lynette know a whole lot more than what she was saying.
Miss Lynette.
Miss
Lynette is on point.
And she's somewhere in the system.
In the loop somewhere.
I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna leave it alone at that point. Mr. Elmore.
How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I guess what I think is when you look at revenue in the city of New Orleans, the motels, hotels, the tourist industry, it seems like a lot of money is generated with them. So I'm just wondering how fair is corporate America in terms on how they report the monies that they receive in terms on and how much taxes they're paying, because it looks like a lot of taxes, a lot of tourists do spend money in the hotels and motels. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, don't tourists pay like what a motel, hotel, a tax in terms on staying in New Orleans, and the city gets a portion and the state get a portion? Is that correct?
Right.
So when you talk about the hotel motel tax, I do think that the city of New Orleans has been screwed. And the reason I think that is because out of that 10% hotel motel tax, the city only gets $1.25.
That's right.
The state gets the rest of the tax, meaning you're going to pay regular taxes. But of course, on top of that regular tax, which is what, 9% for the state, just about?
9.
If you're looking at that, you're going to also add the hotel motel tax. So you're more than likely closer to 19% of a tax. And out of that 10% of that 19%, you get $1.25, and the state gets the rest of it.
Yeah, it's almost like a $6, $13 swing.
Yep.
You know, another interesting element of the city's financial structure is the occupational license tax, which I think is as antiquated as, old dirt.
Oh, wow.
For instance, and I took a look at this last year, and I don't have current figures, but if you are a furniture store and you do $1 million worth of business a year, your occupational license tax is possibly capped at $2,000.
What?
Yeah, it's very small. If you are a Morris Bart or a
that's a bad word, right?
Callahan or put the Womack on you, I have no idea what their revenue
I'm
is.
just waiting for her to take her shoe off and throw it at you.
Let me tell you, let's say their revenue is $20 million a year.
Okay.
You know what their occupational license tax is? Pick a number between $1,000 and $1,200.
Really?
Oh. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's capped.
So the higher you go, your occupational license is
capped.
Wow. Antiquated is a good word to use.
Old dirt.
Old dirt. I got to remember that. We're going to get some T-shirts to just say
Hey, Gerard.
Old dirt.
Yes, sir.
Look, by the way, how you doing, man? I ain't talked to you in a while. How you
Good.
doing?
How you doing?
I can't complain.
All right.
All right, man. Look, one more thing I wanted to ask your guest, and I appreciate his expertise on the matters. Do he think that the tax structure with the city of New Orleans, in terms of how they collect taxes, you think that they need some upgrades with that, or
how they collect?
In other words, right, some upgrades how they collect, or do you feel comfortable in terms of how they collect in the revenues of the city?
I'm gonna let Mr. Januso answer that, but I gotta get to these other calls. So thank you, Mr. Elmore.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy. Thank you,
Mr. Januso. Go ahead.
The collection system in the city is reasonable, but if you take a look at the real estate tax collection, they collect maybe 98% of all taxes, and there's 2% that's always in a receivable that compounds year after year.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, relates quite well to the abandoned properties, for instance. You've also got the case where they send out the real estate bills in middle of January, and some people decide, well, I'm going to just pay the interest on it. I'll pay it in June. I'll pay it in October. I'll just wait. And, of course, the city will collect interest on it at a reasonable rate. But the only thing the city has done, and they've only done it to my knowledge this year, in 2026, they've actually sent notices out to people who did not have the taxes paid as of the last date to pay, which I think was February 28th, March 1st, whatever. And they've sent them a reminder, which basically says, hey, here's your tax bill for the 2026 taxes, because in Orleans Parish, we pay real estate taxes in advance.
Right.
And here's your original bill, and here's the interest up to date, and pay it by July 31st.
The middle of the year.
Yeah. I mean, it's 4 months later.
Oh.
But, there are no phone calls. There's no communication.
You just receive a bill.
You just get a bill in the mail.
I think one of my pet peeves is this whole homestead exemption thing. And the fact, too, that we have religious, educational, charitable, health, cultural, and related nonprofits not paying a dime.
Because that's part of the state constitution.
Right. But in New Orleans, we seem to be losing a lot of tax base.
Because I think Bridget Neal, who ran as a Republican for District 8 Council last year, sort of an expert on this, she came up with something on the order of 46 or 47% of the assessed value is owned by 501c3s or their counterparts.
Right.
Right.
So in order to make that difference up, you jack the tax up
on everybody else.
But,
right.
But a lot of folks don't understand the fact that just because you're a nonprofit doesn't necessarily mean that you're not making money.
Oh, of course not. I mean, one of the biggest nonprofits in the city is Ochsner.
Right.
Tulane University. Tulane University owns parking lots all over the downtown, all over the CBD. Is that part of their mission?
Charitable mission.
Is that part of the
that's my problem.
Tulane Administrative Fund, the Tulane Administrative Fund's eleemosynary motif? Poof.
Well, why aren't we auditing that to see what truly is a part of your charitable mission and therefore non-taxable, and what is truly a for-profit business disguised as a nonprofit activity?
Well, for instance, let's say Tulane University collects tuition, it pays expenses, it gets contributions from its alumni, from who knows who.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a multi-billion-dollar endowment. When they take $100 million and go buy some NVIDIA stock, or some Meta stock.
Or when they ask us for $600 million to fix charity, and they got $1 billion in endowments.
And my point is, we're not going to tax that investment that they have, because that's part of their endowment. That's part of their process of producing education in the system. So someone would say, somewhat logically, well, if they own several parking lots that generate income, what's the difference? It's just another investment.
Let's take Don. Can I take Don first? I'm going to take Don first. Don?
Hello?
Hey, what you say?
Miss McNair, you talk about auditing. You don't have CPAs. 2% of CPAs are black, and the minority of CPAs is, it's a dire situation as CPAs retire. But they said something about the state. In the state of Texas, Gina Hidalgo, she's running for governor. She wants to take a half of the budget surplus, which is about $40 billion, and give it back to the people. About a minimum of $1,500 per citizen. And they still believe we're about $20 billion in surplus. Now, John Bell Edwards, in his 8 years, he had 7 years of surplus budget. Louisiana is considered a state that receives more in federal tax money than it pays into it. Now, if the state is receiving more in federal tax dollars, and then they turn around and it's receiving money from New Orleans, how can you think, or why do you think that the state would do a better job of, or as good of a job running a city? States don't run cities for a reason. And states don't run federal governments for a reason. States have enough issues running their own business. So why is it always like the state of Baton Rouge is the answer to the $64,000 question when it comes to New Orleans?
All right, I'll tell you what, before she answers that, Don, we got to take our break, but I'll tell her more when she comes back. All right, let's take the break first, and we'll come back with Don's question and more coming up, y'all. Everybody will say.
AURN News.
3 states are voting today, and one of the biggest is in Wisconsin. Democrats there are deciding whether Francesca Hong, a Democratic Socialist of America and state representative, becomes their nominee for governor. She's led every recent poll, backed by Ilhan Omar and Ro Khanna, running to replace retiring Governor Tony Evers. It's the state's first open governor's race since 2010, and it's being watched nationally as a test of whether a DSA candidate can win statewide in a battleground Trump carried by fewer than 30,000 votes. Her closest rival is Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. In Alabama, voters in 4 congressional districts, including the state's majority black 7th district, are voting in a special primary after a long court fight restored that district's map. And in South Carolina, Republicans are picking a nominee for the Senate seat left vacant by Lindsey Graham's death last month. All 3 could head to runoffs if no candidate clears the majority tonight. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
New Orleans is built to host, and at the New Orleans Ernest N. Memorial Convention Center, it is where big ideas, major events, and careers come together under one roof. As the 6th largest convention center in the country with a team recognized as a national top workplace, we are proud to power the events that keep our city moving forward. Our staff of more than 450 brings nearly 3,900 years of combined experience, an average of almost 9 years each. If you're looking for a robust benefits package, career stability, and opportunity, visit mccno.com to explore open positions today.
For 5 years, one event has brought our community together around one goal: better health. I'm Judy Morse. Join the Urban League of Louisiana and presenting sponsor Oxner Health on Saturday, August 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the 5th annual Big Health event at the Ernest M. Memorial Convention Center. Enjoy free health screenings, free admission, free parking, and activities for the whole family. The Big Health event. One day, one place, all health.
We are the rhythm of the streets.
The flavor in every dish.
The story in every song.
We are New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation.
We help artists build the future of New Orleans.
Because when the culture thrives, our people thrive.
Every note, every brushstroke, every dish is a door opening new possibilities for those who carry our traditions forward. And when we open that door, the whole city moves forward. For New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation, culture is our open door.
I'm Angelica Harris, a proud New Orleans native and founder of Top Tutors for Us.
In high school, I raised my ACT score from a 60 to a 32 and earned more than $1.5 million in scholarship offers. Now, our award-winning platform connects Black students with tutors who look like them from leading universities like Xavier and Tulane. Your child can achieve that same success. Visit TopTutorsForUs.com and follow Top Tutors For Us on social media. Built for our students by us.
I'm Wendell Pierce. Thanks for making WBOK your station. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Yes, indeed. I'm just sitting here having a conversation with my neighbor. Won't you be my neighbor? Mr. Frank Janusa is with us. Let's get some of these calls here before we have to get off. WB, you've been holding for a minute. How you doing?
What's up, folks? How y'all doing?
Good. What you got?
WB, are you okay?
Every day, all day, folks.
I love that.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
All right, so check this out. So I have a delinquent real estate property tax right now as we speak, right? And one of the things is that I can't pay a partial payment online. So what it is with my particular tax bill that I'm speaking of, it has to be all or none. So I have the money. The problem is I could have been paid it. It's just that I needed to accumulate all the money at one time so that I could go down there and pay the money. Now, if I want to pay, this is purely an example. Let's say I owe $1,500, and I had $500 that I could have contributed, but I couldn't pay those $500 online. The only way the city would accept those $500 is if I went in to pay the $500 to reduce the bill.
That is correct.
But I really don't have the time to really stop what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I don't think that might be the wrong way.
Is this your tax bill on your home?
Well, no, you can pay it in full, but you can't pay it. You can't pay like $500 or the $1,500.
You got to go in person to make partial payments.
And that's how
and you can get a payment plan.
Yeah.
And every time that I go to City Hall, parking is a beast.
Are you serious?
So that in itself is preventing me from taking the time. You know, I mean, I know it's my responsibility, so I'm not crying about that. I'm only saying it's not the most convenient way to be able to pay the tax.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have been able to pay the $500 online at a time and piecemeal it out, even if it was a tax associated with that, an extra fee, I'd be willing to do that. But Mr. Genduza just said that I was correct that you can't pay partial payments. You got to either it's all or none if you're going to pay online or something like that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right.
Well, let me just make one correction. You called me Mr. Gendusa. Gendusa created the original poor boy bread in Orleans Parish. I am Janusa, Janusa. But I get confused often, and I do love their French bread.
Correction taken. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, WB. Thank you, brother.
All right.
All right, D, what you say? Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Gerard and the rest of the gang. My question is, years ago, the state and the people of the state voted for the lottery. And our smart legislators say, well, rather than commit to maybe education or health, we're just going to put all the lottery into a general fund so anybody could grab it. If you go to other states that have lotteries, part of their lottery money is committed to education. And because of that, you could go to schools like community colleges for free because of the lottery. And the lottery takes everyone's money, whether they live in the state or not.
Okay. So your question is?
And my question is, why can't we prod the legislator to take the lottery money and say, can you commit this lottery money to something useful like education or health care?
All right. We're going to get Mr. Janusa to answer that. I appreciate you, D.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, the first thing you've got to do is get in contact with your state legislators.
You got to lobby your state legislature.
You've got to talk to them like they're real people,
Right.
like the three of us are talking at this table.
Right.
You've got to put together a thought process and a plan.
I can almost guarantee you that there are plenty of folks that are listening to us right now that don't even know who their state legislator is.
No question.
Don't know what district that they live in.
No question.
And that might sound a little ignorant for some of you all, but it's the truth. And we don't engage. And then we have homeowners associations that are not calling the meetings Lakeview does, boy, because you're my neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
The civic organization for Lakeview, they're going to call meetings and let you know what's going on in the district.
That's correct.
We need to be doing that in every district. And all the districts have got to be able to say, hey, these are the things that we're going to lobby for as a group. This is who I need to be talking to. This is the person that we need to talk to. Instead of just, saying I need to find out who my state rep is and not have any engagement.
Right.
That happens all the time, though.
It's the beginning of a process. And you've got to start it at some point. Yeah. You've got to engage yourself in order to engage the legislators.
All right.
Because not all of them have original thoughts.
No, you are correct. I'm going to leave that alone, but you are correct.
Right.
I got to say, lastly but not least, please come back.
Absolutely. It is a wonderful experience being here, being on WBOK 1230 AM.
That sounds like you're about to do a show.
No. I mean,
Frank on the radio. That's
we need Frank on the radio.
I do have a face for radio.
We need Frank on the radio. I tell you what, I have learned a lot today. I found, your presence here to be very informative.
Thank you so much.
You clearly did a lot of research. You clearly understand the budget. And I think it kind of inspired me to also look at the budget closer. There's a lot that I did not see or did not pick up on when I looked at the budget. So I just want to let you know, I really do appreciate you being here today. I think we all will look at the budget with a closer set of eyes and pay closer attention to what's happening.
Well,
Lastly,
so
but
much.
not least, you got to ask this question because she disagreed with me. And I think she's going to agree with me now. The city is not broke.
I heard him say that it's not.
City is not broke.
I just wanted to drive it in again.
No, I heard him say it, and I
City
feel
is not
better.
broke.
We are not broke.
Not broke.
Okay.
Needs help.
Come back and see us.
It would be an absolute pleasure.
I really appreciate
Look,
you.
today was the third time. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, that's my neighbor.
Fourth time would be the flavor.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Got the flavor
it so
from
much.
Frank Janusa. He got the flavor.
Thank you very
and
much.
I see your son's online with us too, so thank you to your son. Your dad got the flavor. There we go. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap things up for us on today. Tomorrow, Jeff Thomas is going to be with us, so make sure that you check us out on tomorrow as well. Other than that, y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you then.